How you guys doing? Welcome back to Funcast, episode 18. Our special guest today is Basidium Equilibrium, the man behind most of your genetic work and the owner of the PE advocacy group.
Yeah. PE advocates all day.
Anti-PE club all day.
All day. Absolutely.
Dude, thanks for coming on the cast.
Yeah,
Really
no,
appreciate it, bro.
thanks for the invite and having me. Super cool, man. I love it. It's cool to get to watch and get to know some of the faces behind the scene a little bit more, vicariously through your podcast. So, yeah, it's great.
Dude, it's been kind of like cool. I'm slowly getting like a couple more messages here and there just of people actually saying that. They're like, we're getting to know some of these pages on the Instagram that we follow on a more personal level. And it's just like, that was the goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it makes it a little more real, a little more personal.
Yeah, it's like, it's not just spores or grades and substrate. So, hi, I'm Jason. And we own mycology supply companies.
Right. It gets it's funny. I was talking with somebody recently about marketing, and I can't get it out of my head no matter what. If I or if I'm supposed to write like a marketing email or something, it's hard because I cannot help but feel like a used car salesman, and I'm like, this is terrible. Like makes me want to crawl out of my skin. So
it's like, this tube will spit. This tube will fit a million spores in it.
Yeah, a million spores, 15 trillion spores. We counted
under the microscope. I swear.
Yep. With our homocytometers.
Homocytometers, is that a thing?
Yeah, so it's a microscope slide that has like a little pocket on it, and it has like a grid line, and it's for counting, like cell counting. Typically, they'd use it in like microbiology applications, but for mycology, it's pretty useful for people doing like serial dilutions. So
okay, that's cool.
So you drop in like a little droplet of water, spore solution, and you can zoom into like 1000x and just get a count of spores. So essentially, if you can count out like I don't know, something under like 10, you're looking good. You probably got a nice dilution. You could probably catch like a monokaryon pretty easy. But yeah, so it's kind of like a common thing used for that.
Fun fact, everybody, that's the only myco talk you're getting this whole episode.
Boom. That's it. You could just leave. That's it. That was the only myco talk.
Hey, that was a good episode. You have a wonderful day now.
Yeah, it was great, brother. Yeah.
Dude, so you just had a whole little ordeal go on.
Oh, yeah. So I needed to get a refrigerator for liquid culture. I have like an old beat up refrigerator with like I don't know, French doors, but it keeps losing temp. Yeah, it's old. It's like 10 years old. And so I found one on Facebook Marketplace, and we roll up there, and yeah, I don't know. I'm a pretty blue collar class guy, but I'm a little self conscious. We rolled up, and my truck's fucking smoking in front of this guy's like beautiful house, like, get out of the truck. I'm with my guys, and the caliper on my truck seized, so it was just holding the rotor, and the rotor was like glowing red, just smoking like crazy. It was an adventure. We were having a good laugh about it, me and the dudes. Yeah.
I feel like, just in case you guys were wondering what we do for you.
Right? Yeah. All in the name of spores. We're like pulled over on the side of the road in some parking lot. This thing's just smoking. We're like, we'll give it 10 minutes, let it cool down, and 15 minutes rolls by, it's still smoking. We're like spraying water on it. I know the rotor's fucked, dude. It's got gouged lines through this, so it's all got to be replaced anyways. But it was funny. All for $125 used fridge.
Hey man, but that fridge is going to
It's
bring back that investment tenfold.
100%. It's all set up. We already got fucking liquid culture loaded into it, so
Boom.
worth it. It was worth it.
Gosh. So bro, I mean, we've been friends for years, right? But we haven't necessarily really, sat down and had a little talk on the phone, or we have, but it's like it's been a mostly business slash mycology friendship with the occasional sharing of personal life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, dude. A lot of I know we met through some buddies online, and it's I don't know. I feel like it sums up a lot of like relationships that I've met through mycology because everybody's so around the country, right? Where everyone's dispersed all over the place. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, we've known each other since like what, 2018, 2019. So,
yeah, we're out
nice
there.
getting a couple of years. So, it's crazy. It is cool too to finally get to like meet everybody in person. These events are awesome to go to. Just to network, see everybody, shake some hands, give some hugs, you know.
That's the best part, man. It's like the whole vending part at the events. It seems fun and everything, but there's something about showing up and just giving people hugs and walking around and just
Yeah.
being an attendee.
Yeah. Yeah, the last Entheogen Fest out in San Diego, the expo, it's pretty much what I did. I went up, did my thing, spoke, some Agar alchemy stuff, but just getting to walk around the festival and like meet everybody, say hello to a bunch of the vendors and people I've met along the way, and yeah, I could spend some good time with some friends and like-minded folks.
Dude,
Uh,
we had some
yeah,
belly laps on the
oh,
freaking couch when we were chilling with Jared and
oh,
Drew.
oh, yeah, that was hilarious, dude. You're having a good time.
Dude,
That couch, man, that couch was dope.
that couch was that couch was definitely um, you know, a well broken in, couch.
Yeah, man, that blue velvet couch. I mean, the shit was
Fucking
stunning, man.
who needs blue suede shoes when you got a blue suede couch?
Right, right. It's baller status. But yeah, no,
Um,
it's cool getting to really put it like a face to names and network in a professional but like friendly manner. I think that's what it boils down to. Is at the end of the day, everybody has investment in this, so like we're all. I would say for the most part, most mycology businesses have networked and talked to people, even in just passing small stuff. I think at the end of the day, everyone is like-minded enough that we all want to be friendly and
you
uh,
know,
approachable with each other. So it's
for the
it's
most part, I feel like there's like there there's the whatever the people who are just negative, but that's in just any community or any like way of life, right? There's always going to be the hater.
that's the duality of our existence, right? It's for every pro there must be a con. It feels like so. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that just brings balance to the whole thing without someone senselessly critiquing or hating on something. Maybe it just wouldn't be as real. So
I mean, there's something I love it. I love it. I love when somebody just critiques my whole entire life. Uh, after their first 16 quart grow, and all due respect to you, man. Congratulations, you got that done. You're allowed to.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know, man. The I don't know. It's interesting when I think something that's supposed to be like ego dissolving or maybe not dissolving but make you aware, right? So I really think that psilocybin has this wonderful ability to make us like look at ourselves, become a little more self-aware, and it is interesting once you can see there's like reactionary behavior from people sometimes, but it's also like a lot of that for myself is based on internet, and it's like I don't know. I've been doing this on Instagram for almost 8 years, I think, 8 full years. Just fucking crazy. And yeah, it's just part of it. It's the internet, so crazy
Dude,
people on the internet, it's just part of it. It's gonna happen. Someone's gonna come around and try and mess with your shit for no good reason. So
and I think this is a good point to bring up the anti-penis envy club at this point. Speaking
uh,
of messing with people's shit, man,
yeah, well, the PE conversation is it's interesting. And I know that, like, I've been pretty open about it. Like, I talk about it in my Agar Alchemy classes. I've talked about it on a couple live, and I think another podcast as well. But like, I don't know. For me, as like a cultivator or whatever, I really look at a lot of the envies. I just call them envies, right? So envy variants, I really truly believe are a much more recreational thing. So, like, if you're, without a doubt, hands down, I self admit, the most gnarly trip experience ever,
same.
envy related. It's just aliens, crazy, can't
Angry.
even wrap my mind around what happened. And for whatever reason, a month later, I'm like, let's do it again. you know, but I don't really think, and I can't speak for anyone. It's just, it's too of a broad thing, right? Like, everyone is individuals. Your cellular makeup of your body is different. Your genetics are different. Hence, the mushroom genetics are different. So, like, what's going to be good for me is not necessarily good for others. But I don't think there's a lot of, I don't know. I feel like because of like prohibition and mushroom cultivation in general, the information is getting muddied pretty quick as more and more people flood in. So it's a like a repetitive thing, right? So like Jason tells me something cool, I repeat it to this group of people, but I leave out an essential detail, and that just keeps happening over and over again. And what we end up with is really muddied information. And I don't think that the potency testing that's going on, like, right, we have all these labs doing these potency tests, talking about what they're dealing with and what they're finding, but I don't think that's as secular as people think, right? So like when you go to like a Joe Rogan podcast and Mike Tyson's talking about fucking eating penis envies daily for months on end, like, dude absorbed a lot of brain damage, man. Like, being a boxer, like, he needs it. But like, what about the people who don't? And they're like looking for self-insight, healing. Maybe the recreational strains are just a bit much, right? Maybe it's too many alkaloids. Maybe so I
You
don't know.
know, I
It's all
feel like
subjective, it's everyone's personal take is their own. And
I agree, man. And I think there's always like I just want to point out like the anti PE club, PE advocacy group. It's all love at the end
yeah,
of the day. Like we,
100%.
we love mushrooms no
Yes.
matter what they are.
Yeah, and like, coming from my perspective as an advocacy guy, like, dude, I love growing penis envies. Like, they're so cool from a cultivator standpoint. From a recreational standpoint, yeah, they're wild, hands down. But from a cultivator standpoint, they're so friendly. There's no spore dropping. They can be a little bit of a pain in the ass unless you have a really good system in place to cultivate successfully. They seem to be a little more picky than like classics. But like, if you're growing or using these for cultivation as like a therapeutic thing, but you're also using psilocybin as a therapeutic thing, I think the gold is really in landrace, wilds, and classics. Like, that is like this classic mushroom journey. Like, so many people have been around doing this for 20, 30, 10 years, 8 years, 5 years. Most of them started with things like B plus golden.
Yeah, it's like I feel like all the OGs, even when I started, and this is a few years ago, it's like, and I feel like to this day, right? I feel for the most part, people who don't know mycology, they go, "What are the brown caps?" You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know. I remember taking some mushrooms. I don't remember what they were, but they were brown caps, and it's just like golden teachers. It's never like you never hear the stories of like I took some mushrooms and they were phallus like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, yeah. No one's like, yeah, dude, they looked like mini dicks in a bag. Yeah, that's not
Um,
happening.
but
But
yeah, dude, it's I like it's just I like to think I was actually talking about this last night, whereas just the potency and the alkaloid content, right? And I was explaining it similar to like marijuana, right? It's like just because the THC level is high doesn't necessarily mean that herb is right for you. And I'd say that's the same exact thing with alkaloid contents of like mushrooms. Just because you have the most potent doesn't necessarily mean that is what is going to be best for you. Or like and in correlation to that, potency doesn't necessarily mean
good.
like because you have low potency doesn't mean that you're going to have a low end of a trip, because there's sometimes I've taken some of the regulars or the land races thinking one thing, and
Yeah.
then 30 minutes later I am wrecked.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation earlier today with a buddy of mine, and he was telling me that he won't fuck with like pink buffaloes, like the Thailand pink buff. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I won't ever eat those things ever again, man. They caught me. And it's like everyone seems to have like a story of a strain. And I have a friend, he says B plus was his. Um I had some Cabo Amarillos last year, and their land race, that was a first gen from Wild, and woof, wow, was they were intense. I wasn't even
Dude,
expecting that. Like they're super intense.
I feel like that about Orissa, India.
Yeah, see, I love
Dude,
it. It's like
Orissa
so
fucking is
over.
that's like that's also I'd say a mean one. It's a wee mean one, Mr. Grinch, man. Every time I take Orissa, it's like a whole ass learning experience.
Yeah, sometimes it's what we need. It's what the doctor prescribed. It's I think it's part of it. Like I don't know. For any time someone can say they had like maybe even like an awakening kind of experience, something that was super positive, super introspective, nothing scary. They come out of like a 6 or 7 hour experience and they're just, crying out all this stuff. And like, it's a total personal reset in the best way possible. And it's going to take time for all of the benefits to show themselves. It takes 6 months, a year. You'll look back and be like, dude, I wonder how much of this was influenced from this one experience. Or it's like almost like homeopathic in a way, right? Where
Yeah.
it's just it takes time for it to envelop and like turn into something so much more beautiful than it was when you were there in the moment.
Well, that's I feel like a lot of it. Sorry to interrupt you, but fucking
Oh,
you know how many like lessons I thought I learned in the moment, and then like 2 months later I'm like I didn't learn anything, and then it's just like it all hit me at once. Like holy shit, that's the answer to the solution.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The light bulb moment when you're like, oh my god. Yeah,
Like you're like in the middle of like doing an agar like transfer, and you're like, oh,
yeah, yep, yep, 100%. I don't know. I feel like it's part of the whole experience, and I've talked to a few friends. I know it's anecdotal, whatever. That's all we got.
yeah,
Quantifying people's consciousness is just sounds like a silly thing to do, because everyone's so different and unique, and your consciousness
yeah,
is formed off of experience. So yours is your own, mine is mine, everyone's is their own individual experience. But I also think that having challenging experiences are part of the deal. Kind of comes with the territory. It's like cultivation. You think everything's good until contamination shows up, but it's just part of the territory. You know,
yeah.
it's nothing to lose your head over. You just you go through your process, figure out your weak points, fix it, and it stops. And next spring, it'll come again because
Dude,
everything
you
comes
know?
alive and flows into your room.
And I like how, like you say, with like the experience and how each person's experience is different via the consciousness. And that also kind of translates to the cultivation aspect of mycology, right? Whereas everybody's experience is completely different. And it's like the advice that you and I could give somebody may not necessarily work to the T in their living, conditions or area. So
Uh-huh.
it really is about, the whole experience coming down from like starting from cultivation all the way down to enjoying the fruits of your labor and then dealing and then mentally going through whatever it brings you through is a whole experience as an individual. Yet we're like, it's so individualized, yet we're such a tight community as well. It's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, it is. It's really actually very fascinating. And you're 100% right. Everyone's cultivation experience is different, but it's like there's so we do this like agroalchemy class, right? And we talk about cultivation, isolation, things like that. And one of the big keys that I always touch on is that really right in the beginning, I just kind of put it out there. It's like evaluate everything and be critical of what you believe. Because really at the end of the day, cultivation, there's so many different little micro approaches or different changes in people's approach. It's little stuff. It's always in the details, right? So, but a lot of those details are determined by your environment and the way you think. So, different people's level of problem solving is going to be a huge key, and what they approach they take. What's your I know some guys, man, they're great cultivators, but the first thing they'll tell you is that they're super lazy. And because of how lazy they are, they come up with innovative ways to not work hard, right?
Well, that's what they say. It's like if you want to figure out how to do something easy, just like hire a lazy person to do it.
Yeah, they'll find a way to save themselves time. Maybe they can sit down for a while, and not do much. It's the guys that choose to use steam powered pasteurizers versus guys using buckets, for sub. Uh,
Yeah,
there's a huge difference there in time and labor.
100%.
There's no hands down. You cannot tell me mixing sub cold, bagging it, and then throwing it in the steamer and walking away. Come on.
It's
It's
like
way
honestly one of the best
it's
things
way
ever.
easier. It's way easier. Like I don't want to be standing over a bunch of buckets with 140-degree water drilling it.
Nobody does. It
No,
sucks.
it
It
sucks. I've
sucks.
done it.
I recommend everybody make their own grains, substrate, pour your own agar dishes, and then
Yes.
let us know how much it sucks.
Yes. It sucks. It's not it's and some days it's great and some days it's not.
No,
If I
I'm
take
just
if I
kidding. It
take
doesn't. I
yeah,
love it, but work is work at the end of the day.
yes. Yeah, anything where you're exerting a ton of effort and stuff, cooking grain is um it's funny, I'll take a break from it for a while. Then I'll go through a vendor. He's the only guy I'll buy grains from just because he knows exactly how it should be. And, he'll even message me, I did your batch special just for you. So it's just awesome.
Shout
But
out to the special vendor.
it's special vendor. But like, it's one of those things where like, I won't do it in the winter. I don't cook grain in the house. Like, I just don't. It's got to be outside in a yard, screen tables, and my environment just doesn't allow for that. And I did for a long time, but it's just not something I want to do anymore. So, like winter cultivation, I hit it really hard in fall, get everything I need to for genetic work, and I kind of ride through some of the winter a little light, and just trying to minimize cooking grain in snow. Like there's some pros though, man. You drop some fucking hot boiling grain onto a screen table in the cold, and that steam just dries the grain like instantly.
Oh yeah, and it
Yeah,
looks so cool.
yeah, it does. It's dope.
The plume of like grain steam is like whoa.
Yeah, yeah. I had a neighbor's elderly woman. She'd come outside, be like, "Is everything okay?" It looks like you have a fire. It's just a fucking plume of steam rising out of the yard.
And on that note, I don't pour my own dishes. I
See,
haven't poured my own dishes. The last time I poured dishes was when I made those cookie plates,
nice,
and
nice,
then before that it was like damn near like 2 years.
hell
So,
yeah! I heard you talking to Jonathan about the cookie plates. That was great.
dude,
Those are
I threw up on Michael Alchemy's episode. There's like there's some of them are throwing ropes from spore. I inoculated with your Orissa India, and it's like
nice.
growing well, and some illusion weaver from spore that I had that was like 4 years old. I don't even know who sent me it. Shout out whoever sent me that.
Like shout out Illusion Weaver.
Shout out. There's a swab. Thanks.
Right? Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I know the agar plate pouring too can be monotonous. I don't know. I think for me personally, I think it's probably safe to say, for Muscopity use only.
Uh-oh.
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 Oh shit. Oh shit.
What do we got here? We got the Christmas bass sticker.
Oh yeah, you got the Christmas one. Nice.
We
Hell
got some slaps. And just in case you guys were wondering you know, what you're getting into as far as spores are concerned.
Oop.
Jeez. Look at the
Oh,
Vader.
old Vader print,
We
yeah.
got some Vader. What else we got? Some Honduras. Look at
Nice.
the quality, everybody. And these are like, these have been kind of sitting around as well.
I
I'm
was
not
about
gonna
to say,
lie. I don't.
some of those are a little older too, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
I think I was dating most of them back then too. Yeah, they got round
oh,
stickers on the back. They're
yep.
like a couple
These
years.
three are from 2021,
Yep. Yep. Sounds about right.
and then these are not quite the ODPEs.
Yeah, they don't drop spore normally. Those are
Dude,
special.
when you dropped that, I was like, let me get that.
Yeah, that was cool. That culture keeps doing it too. I'm like super stoked. I have more of them now. I gotta cut up and process and stuff, but they're it's kind of weird seeing penis envy start dropping spore again. You know, it's
It is
interesting.
kind of it's interesting. I like it. I think if anything, that's like the one thing that I'm like, if anything, I'll like put a little less on the anti PE club if they start dropping a little more spore in my life.
Yeah, bringing them back. Giving them some life again. I
Yeah,
think that's the real kicker with the genetic stuff is like just translating the information to the rest of our lives in the world we live in, right? Like we have so much artificial food, um, seedless fruits and vegetables,
all the GMO crap.
all the GMO stuff, right? So that GMO came from genetic altering, right? So when we're isolating genetics specifically to trait over the course of like 5-10 year period of time, we may not be using some sort of advanced process. It takes time, but it's the same thing. They're losing. The first thing they lose is their ability to naturally breed on their own. And that for mushroom is dropping spores, especially for Basidium ascites. So guild mushroom not producing spore or not able to discharge and drop the spore, which is an entire other function on its own. But I've made references to it. It's the same thing as like dog breeding, right? So like French
Like a
bulldogs,
French bulldog with the nose and
yeah, but they can't have babies. They have to have cesarean sections.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like they can't breed on their own. If all of us humans disappeared tomorrow, English bulldogs, French bulldogs, they're done, dude. They're gone. And they're the penis envy of the dog world. So, it's the same thing. They can't breed on their own, they're toast. It's over. You know?
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny how like we as cultivators are some I guess are targeting those recessive traits that would be like I guess or like yeah just not the genetically superior the beta traits Whereas
Yes.
it works out for an at-home cultivator because now you have an extra window of 8 hours to where you can, possibly pick your fruits. But I think that's like a whole, another conversation as far as, you know, for me, I think like even if you wait that long to the point where they get like super mushy and like start to like really like curl up, I think that also affects um like potency via the mushroom. And now I could be wrong, and that this is just saying coming from my experience, but I've just noticed that like I think there is a peak window, and then after you go beyond that, things also start to I guess like yeah, I guess die, right? So it's like
Well,
with
yeah,
that.
it's actually funny you even brought that up. I took photos just yesterday morning. I was going to do a post about end of life cycles with mushrooms. I see a lot of people on social media sharing pictures of past due fruit, right? So they'll have an albino, it'll grow, the cap will open, and then it'll flex around, totally curl, it'll roll over, and the gills will just become blue and
And
stain.
all blue, and then they're like, "Oh my god, it's so blue."
Like, I'm gonna call it bluegill, and it's like, no, it's rotting is what's happening. It's rotten fruit, So the end of life when mushrooms like these grow, they're trying to drop spore, whether they can or not. They're going to still follow through the process. It's like genetically built into the mushroom. They can't avoid it, right? It's like humans can't avoid death. You can't avoid the mushroom's not going to avoid it either. It can't, right? Even though the mushroom's kind of like immortal, right? So they're going to flex. They're going to try and drop spores, whether they are or not. It's irrelevant. They're going to curl all the way over. That's so those gills really can disperse spores everywhere. And then the fruit itself starts decomposing and flooded with water, and it just turns into mush. And what will happen is it'll turn right back into almost like a liquid state, and then the mycelium will recess down underground again, go subterranean. And that's just for the eventual possibility that they can fruit again and have another chance at dispersing more spores. So, like, yeah, it's I had some PEUs, penis envy uncuts, and I took some photos of them, and I had like, I don't know, 6 or 7 fruits, and it was like the entire life cycle of a fruit, right? Like closed capped, super closed, super tight. Then it's open, veils dropped. The PEUs don't really have a veil, but you get the picture.
Yeah.
And they'd also, because the gills are like not even really there, they don't flex. There's no flex. They kind of stay closed. But then the stem goes from this thick stem and it starts shrinking in, and it looks like a bell. And then around that top of that stem, it just gets blue and black, and they get nasty looking. Like, I'd never eat a fruit like that. It's
Yeah, I hate when it like
riddled with bacteria and stuff too.
it's
No,
so like I see some of these people, they're posting the fruits and it's like they're already curled up, and it's like yeah, when it turns like the blue black the brown, and it's
yeah,
like that is like if your fruits are that color, like don't even bother dehydrate them.
no, they shouldn't be eaten.
you know
I mean,
and
and I mean, speaking from like a genetic standpoint, what we do is it's just genetic work, right? So, I like to show the life cycle. I like to show right as they mature. So it's so you see where they're at in their latest stage, because that's as long as they should go before anyone should harvest. Like where they break veil and they open up and they're still concave before they become convex and turn into like, bulls. And because then they're going to get black if they drop spores, and if they don't, they're just going to get soft.
they're gonna
Uh,
get soft, and they're honestly gonna lose weight as well. So
ton of weight, ton of
So,
weight.
like for anybody who thinks like, oh, I'm gonna let it keep going the longest amount of time, it's like there is a specific time you should pick them for a reason. And
So
at the end of the day, that water weight's all going to be dehydrated out anyways. So whatever the total weight of the fruit it was, that's what it's going to be. Whether you pick it, when it's dense and like probably like 10 to 20 grams heavier than it's what it's going to be when it's overgrown and starting to rot.
Yeah, and I also think that harvesting firmness is like a big deal. So like the cap is a really great way to just like base it off of. But like for good, healthy, good fruit, something that someone is intending on eating, they should be firm, not soft. Some genetics are different though. There's different densities. Some of the classics are hollow stiped. They're kind of spongy. But then there's, like things like albino penis envy, and they're kind of like little marshmallows. They're real soft. So
It's kind of interesting how the albino penis envy culture has, like, honestly gotten, I'd say, worse over the years. When
yeah,
20, fucking, I don't know, like a few years ago, 2019, 2018, the penis envy culture is like, Jared had the blue nip one that had like just the blue nipple with the caps that just opened up.
yeah.
It was so almost like a like the revert. The
Yeah, so one of the interesting things about that though is I find that when people do clone work, the gills close up. When people are doing spore work, the gills open, right? Because it just keeps recycling, right? So it's a
Makes
recycle,
sense.
starts life again. So what we're seeing now is a lot of apes, people are doing nothing but spore work. So all the apes that were used to be like closed cap squats, they're becoming a lot more rare, but it's also hard to say whether or not they're solid genetics. There's some guys out there that have some really good apes, but apes are super EOL and super bottlenecked,
Hmm.
so it's always going to be a challenge. They're just a challenging genetic in general. They're not terribly hard, but they pose more challenge than a lot of other genetics, and I know a lot of people find them to not be even worth the time of investment into. Well, others are more of like super boutique, so they're going to invest the time and try and figure it out. But a lot of that comes from the original source, right? So, like, if someone's cultivating, you can basically bottleneck a genetic into a process. So, there's like some old processes where people didn't allow as much airflow into their genetics. And then they grew like this for years. And the genetic, just like one of the ape cultures I have, if you fan a tub, it's toast. It's dead. If you missed it, it's dead. But if you just don't touch it, hands up, walk away, it'll flush like crazy. But it's got to be perfect. Not an overgrown plate, just perfect. Not an overgrown bag of spawn, just perfect. And then into a tub that's got to be perfectly clean. So there's a lot of like, gotta be timely. Whereas I've had other genetics that are like fruit on spawn, and you pull the fruit out, smash the bag, throw it in anyways, and it flushes perfectly. It's just a
Guys,
savage.
it's that easy. All you gotta do is be perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Just perfect.
Be
And
perfect and leave it alone.
right, right. So it's I don't know. I also think that like although the boutique old school strains are some of them, not all of them, but like a few of them that are kind of like finicky, for like collectors, hardcore cultivators, absolutely. They're must have, gotta own them, gotta keep it.
Yeah,
It's at least that's my opinion. I remember I'm a PE advocate here. So like the ape is a true harlequin. One guy's got ninja apes with the black caps, and one guy's got blue apes with the blue caps, and two spore runs later, their name for their ape doesn't matter anymore because it changed color.
yeah,
That's I had a blue ape. I gave it to a buddy. He sent it back to me, and I've ran it a few times. And one time it's gray, and the next time it was blue, and the next time it was white. So it's just they're harlequins; they change color. Um, it's really unstable. It just seems to be all over the place. But People love them. I've had some of the most whacked out crazy experiences on Ape though. Ape is
100%. One of the
something else.
strongest,
Absolutely.
hands down.
Hands.
Took a point .5 of ape like once, and the point .5 was like full visuals for me, and I was like, this is like I wasn't ready for this. I'm frustrated at myself.
Yeah, they're intense, man. They really are. I would say to date, I don't think I've ever had as extreme open-eyed visuals on any other strain. So, um,
Well, speaking of open eye visuals, man, what do you do when you're not behind the lab, man? What are you looking at? What are the hobbies?
oh, dude, these days it's a lot of family time, family, work life. Um, I love getting out in nature. It's probably my biggest thing, If I'm not mountain biking, hiking, walking, mushroom foraging, it allows me quiet time,
Mm-hmm.
get away. I love kayaking. I got a couple kayaks and there's a lake local. So I go up there and just,
Nice.
you know,
Kayaking's so fun.
yeah, it's fun. During the summer, it gets a little crazy out on the lake. Depending on the weekend, just like fucking motorboats everywhere, but like running away off to like northern Arkansas is beautiful. And there's some really nice woods out there. I've gone out there with Jared a few times and go do some trout fishing and just kick back, man. Enjoy being alive, I think
That's the way to do it, man.
yeah. I don't really like I don't know. It's I think my answer to that would have been very different a few years ago, but it's I've definitely dedicated myself to my craft and it does absorb or has the last few years it has absorbed probably 90% of my free time.
I
And
could, yeah,
yeah.
I feel that as well, man. But I try to like still, try to like keep those hobbies just there, even
Yeah.
though
Yeah, we actually it's actually a
blow the
big
dust off.
yeah, it's a big push for me actually this year is just getting back to bringing in my equilibrium, Like I think that's where all that came from, right? I would
Less
say
Basidium, more equilibrium.
yeah, dude. Yeah, it's got to I got to bring the back balance a little bit into my life. It's been good. No regrets. I love what I do. I love mycology. Um I've had some big things that I've been working on for years and it's just a lot. There's a lot to it. And I
You've been
think I
killing it, man. You've been straight up grinding since since we've met. You haven't stopped working, so that you need to, take some time for yourself as well.
yeah.
Don't feel guilty about it.
No. And that's it though. It's like the second you find yourself in a position where let's say take some time away from whatever it is that you do, whether it's mycology or some other profession, um the second you feel guilty about your own time and space is the moment you realize that you have an unhealthy relationship with what you're doing. And I think that's been a little eye-opening for myself, just speaking totally vulnerable about it, but it's like um mushrooms don't wait for anybody, so like if you don't plan for a break or some sort of time where you need personal space, personal time, travel, like don't go building tubs, don't start spawn, don't, you know,
No,
I'll take I took a backup of everything, the whole culture collection, and put it all into slant, and then I left town, it was like hands up, you know, throw down like 3 or 4 slants of each variety and just cross my fingers that everything hits perfect, it's like, all right, well, you got to put
see you
it,
next week,
yeah, you got to hang it up, man. You got to spend some time and, like hit the ocean, go swim,
dude. You say like mushrooms don't wait for anybody. Fucking neither does life, man.
That's
It does.
right. That's it.
So it's like talk about another lesson learned from mycology. It's like don't wait on the vacation. take
No,
the time if you can. You know, don't do it if you're like hurting, but fucking hey, if you can, enjoy yourself.
yeah, even if you could squeeze out for a weekend, it's the little stuff is the really important, and I would say it's funny. I always so like I've listened to a bunch of the podcasts that are going around in the mycology scene. There's a lot of people who talk about being business owners, entrepreneurs. It seems to be a really common conversation, right? But I think that's because there is this group of people that decided to dedicate themselves to this thing they were doing and go into a more of like, I guess, quote unquote, professional space, right?
Yeah,
Being
totally.
professional in something requires you to be more responsible. There's people waiting on you, they're depending on you, and you can get lost in the sauce, and it can be too much. And the point is creating a good boundary and a good routine, so that way you always give yourself time where you need to. Like you've been doing with your skydiving and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
I used to be hardcore mountain biker, dude, like nuts. Like I 6, 7 days a week, man, I was in the forest, like hitting it hard. And yeah, I've been hitting it again because it's just, like it's you gotta get in tune with who you are as a human. Like mushrooms are supposed to elevate your life, not control and consume. You know, I've talked to growers who have said they convinced the mushrooms are just using us all. Yeah,
Oh man,
like,
there's some people in this communities. I,
yeah, yeah, dude.
I
Uh,
mean, I don't think so. I think if anything, we're just nurturing, these
oh,
mushrooms 100%.
of course.
And if people are thinking that, maybe they're just not in it for the right things.
No,
I don't necessarily, there's a lot of people in it for, you can very clearly differentiate the people who have the passion and then the people who are just in it for a quick buck.
well, yeah. I mean, there's all walks of life, and everyone's welcome, of course. It's there's
Yeah,
no
no, there's no like,
no
it is what it
authority
is.
on it, but it is yeah, you can usually see, you can usually tell the people who are like really passionate about it, love it. You can always see the people who come from a personal experience place with it, right? There are people I have met uh that have never eaten mushrooms or
I met
won't.
somebody last night.
Yeah, it's weird, but then they have mushroom businesses. um
Oh shit! What?
Yeah, won't touch them. No way. Fuck that. I don't do drugs. But they're selling psilocybin products. And it's like, that's cash cows, cash grabbers, and it is what it is. I don't particularly love that kind of thing because I find it like very soulless. It lacks energy, it lacks compassion, it lacks passion. But it's also one of those things where um I don't know, in some weird way you have to acknowledge some people just that's what they love to do is make money, I guess. And it's like, I guess.
I can't
But
blame him. I enjoy
no, I
making
can't I
money as
can't
well.
hate on I won't hate on anybody, but at the same time too, these are like sacrament entheogens. And I think there's, with the lack of education, lack of knowledge being floating around, there is a glorification of things that are not understood by um I don't know. If you were
I
a
think it's like the whole like society and like the community. Whereas like a lot of these things are hyper focused on, or the spiritual healing and this and that. And I think there's a lot of people who are doing that, selling these products, and then kind of like also integrating this whole entire like you know and crystal healing,
right, right.
freaking spirituality, which I got, obviously nothing against it, but like when you
No.
are preaching this merely as a fact to make a sale, it's like uh,
Yeah, there's the internet, I think,
that
is
ego
bred.
is
Yeah, it's the ego stuff, right? So I think the internet breeds this kind of into people, unfortunately. I think that's a conversation I had with someone recently too. We were talking about um, professional groups, professional companies coming into the psychedelic space. I think a lot of it is to say they're in the psychedelic space, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's a feather in the cap, man. Like
There,
I work
it's like
with
I
psychedelic
did this.
mushrooms, bro. And it's like, yeah, and it's you can see it, but that's the first Entheogen Fest in Entheo Expo in LA. I talked about this because there was a question about big pharma getting into the mix of psilocybin. And I believe there is nothing anyone in this community has the power, wealth, control to ever keep those kinds of things from happening. And those kinds of groups, like pharmaceutical groups, medical groups, uh, cultural appropriation groups that are like spiritual healers that are fake. There are some people out there that are super legit and they found themselves through their own healing path, which is, like they're just antennas into the universe and pulling that down, fixing themselves and passing on the good message, right? Kind of like some Ram Dass shit. They're
100%.
legit in everything, but there's none of us are be able to. There's no point or sense in focusing on any of the things we disagree with because you're not vibing with that crowd anyways, right? So like it's the people who come in and swoop in and say, "Oh, look at us. We're a psychedelic mushroom company or we're into psychedelics and we write articles based on other people's science and work and we just want to chip on, that feather in our cap and it's okay because they're just going to attract people like them who are fake. So you don't have to worry. It's you don't have to pay attention to it, give it anything, and I don't. I try not to. I see stuff, I kind of shake my head sometimes. I go, okay, but at the same time, through my experience, through my self-learning journey, and through psilocybin, I find that there is a silver lining in something worth of value that we can take from everything. So whether
I
it's
agree to that.
a lesson learned, or maybe it's kind of like it's kind of like making the comment about people saying maybe mushrooms are controlling them. It's like there are people I've met in this on this path, on this journey, that are convinced some crazy shit out there, crazy stuff, and
Oh yeah.
so as much as these guys are like true psychonauts and kind of a little out there, there's also the people who are not psychonauts, but are amazing writers. And they put something into a way that no one else has done yet. So reading something that you've read before because you know where the source of the information is, but rewritten by someone who's a really talented author, you're like, oh, okay, never thought about it that way.
Like
Interesting.
mycopreneur, like Dennis,
Yeah,
he
Dennis,
puts
super
things
talented.
into words and like videos that I've been thinking about for years, arguably to the T.
Yeah, he's got some funny stuff, dude. He's a funny guy.
That's like the pure definition of like having the skill in being able to, present what you want to your audience while also being in the community to enough to be able to hit the inside joke points that only the people in the community or like psychonauts, only people who are interested in this subject will genuinely understand if they've experienced it.
Right. Yeah, no, it is yeah, because it is there's a lot of cliches, around psychedelics these days.
Oh
I
yeah.
I think when we started, things have just rapidly changed in the last few years. And it's going to continue to,
Even a few months, man, I'd
yeah,
say.
even in the last 6 months, there's been a massive amount of change, a huge influx of new people. I think these kinds of things like your podcast, I think they're super important because I think it offers a viewing window for people to like maybe get some insight from others that have been around working with either the medicines or cultivation or Maybe there's some young
Well,
guys that watch this later and be like, yeah, I don't really want to start a business because it sounds miserable, or who knows? Who
and
knows? There's
also,
so
man,
much
it's
to it.
like I'd say I feel like the podcast is also showing, a little bit more into that person, right?
Yeah,
Going back to, how people are starting businesses for arguably cash grabs. Some people started for passion. Some people, I don't know. I feel like I didn't even start my business. The community started it for me.
same,
Um, but
same.
like, it's like, because I literally, it just happened over time. But, um, with that being said, we're going to also have the audience that we attract, just like they have the audience they attract if they want to be, professional, corporate, all this stuff, come in with like shirt and tie and say like all like the Latin terms and all that stuff. Those people are going to get customers for people who are interested in stuff like that.
Yeah,
Whereas like, I have my own following, you have your own following, and I know my people love me and I know your people love you. And I'm pretty sure our people love us.
absolutely. Well, and it's yeah, it's a vibration. You emit out what you are.
Yeah.
And it shows through your work too. So you attract what you attract, and
And
yeah,
it's like that's what it's like as far as the grains go, the substrate goes, the genetics go. That's like one reason why I'm not afraid to have like I want all the people to be on the podcast. It's not we're all family. We're all making basically the same thing. We're all basically doing the same thing. At the end of the day, it's all like there's different, small variations to the people who are actually putting in the work, and I don't want to like put it in like a tier level, right? But I feel like you and I are like, you, we know what we're doing, as far as like making our products, and I'd say it's high quality stuff. There's some people who come into it and they just made their first, 50-pound bag of grains and they just made their first syringes. They
yeah,
might be clean, but it might not be, that level of
sustainable.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also think that for some folks that are a little more legacy, there was probably I'd say like I don't know how to put it into terms of maybe like some sort of honeymooning period where newer businesses probably won't have the pleasure of enjoying that. Where like you said, your business was probably community started. At least that's how you feel about it, right? This is the same for me. Like I was growing, showing off my work and just kind of, meeting people online, like-minded folks, talking about cultivation. And then it started immediately with like, oh, hey, can I get a culture? Um, and I'm not
One
a,
bag of
I'm not
sub.
ashamed. I have no shame in saying it, but your boy Bass was hurting financially. And believe me, when I made that first like $200 genetic sale, it was like game changing. It was like, yeah, it was like, oh yeah. And it was a little motivating, like, oh, and all my money went into my hobby, all of it. It was money I could spend on mycology. Like I didn't
Yeah,
really have the personal finances to buy a flow hood. My
same, bro.
my first flow hood was gifted to me by a friend. And he sent it to me and he was like, "Hey buddy, you got a package showing up today." And I literally like watched this UPS guy carrying this fucking huge box, like drops it on the crowd. It's funny, man, but it was an Inverco Mac 10. And my friend
Oh,
basically,
gee.
yeah, and he was like, just pay it forward, and I think I did. I think I've done that. I wanted to honor that because my whole life changed after that. And it's those unselfish acts of kindness, and also being in this like beginning place and being so early onto the scene where where these community bred businesses, people are really nice. They're really cool, great people. You know,
Yeah.
like
And you see all these guys,
yeah,
all of us, we're all like, I guess, the whatever popular Instagram accounts of the community or whatever. I don't even know how to like explain
sure,
it, but it's like we all and I say this, and I don't necessarily know if people genuinely like can grasp how like what I mean by this, but it's like we all were just like this is what we were doing. We were just chatting. We were just talking. Like, I got my first substrate sale. And then, like, somebody bought 100 pounds. When somebody bought 100 pounds of substrate, that was like an extra few $100s in my pocket.
Like,
And
ah!
I was like, but
Yeah,
it's like, uh, I know why I started this, and you said the hobby, the money you can invest back into the hobby. And that was the most beautiful part because we were doing this like to just basically like fail. We were going through all these like learning experiences,
yes.
dropping all the money from our day job, and then like basically busting our ass working for ourselves just to like suck.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, it's, I don't know. I feel like cultivation, even 5, 6 years ago, was a lot more. I just, there's no other way to put it. It's poor boy tech.
Oh
It's
yeah,
Shroomery Forum, Sab, Still Airbox. Yeah,
no
shout out
core,
Happy Demon.
no
Shout out
prep.
to you.
Yeah,
You fucking filter on the box fan. You know, like he's the first guy I ever seen do that.
Happy
And
Demon he was the first one to see I've seen like growing like the 100 quart tubs.
yeah, yeah, same thing. Yeah, big ass tubs. But like it's the it was the trial and error and then people's openness about helping each other. But it's like any, I think there's any scene as things grow, when you see rapid growth, a lot of people getting involved. Some people tend to kind of go hands up and get quiet, and um there's a lot of information out there, though. I know some folks try to say, "Oh, no one shares any information." There is a unbelievable amount of information. I have a bookshelf full of mycology books because that was good information. Yeah, like the Shroomery Forum was like some angry man in his basement complaining about how you had to raise your CO2 level with your mycelium. So he's putting fucking tubs in trash bags. Like that is the worst information in the world. Like
Yeah,
if you want your grow to go anaerobic and die, like mushrooms breathe oxygen, so it's that kind of stuff no one has to wade through, right? All this information. It's like going through an encyclopedia and you have to throw away 90% of it, right? So anyone who's unwilling to wade through information and be open-minded enough to decide what they really believe to be true, right? And I think that's kind of like, I don't know. Today, it's so great if you're a beginning grower, you're new to this hobby, and you want to grow. There's never been a better time. Like there's
there is, yeah. When like there was when people say there's no information, it's like, well, like how did I learn? How did you learn? You know what I
right.
mean? It's like you're talking about all these articles that are like bad. It's like that's how we arguably learned is by
Yes,
reading all of those articles and trying out these techniques from like the
tried
1920s.
horrible text, yeah, from like 1985.
You know,
Grew
and
mushrooms
it's
in a
like
jar. Like why? Like
So
I
it's like, don't say there's no information. I think more so, this is to the people who say there's no information, not you, bro. This is more so the fact of like I don't want to do the work, and I want to be spoon fed the proper information.
Yeah, it's definitely more of the spoon fed thing. There was a thing that got popular on social medias. It was on like Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, and people were doing this like, Google it. Google everything. Google memes. Like, I ain't got time for you, bro, and blah blah blah. And um,
That bothers me.
it bothered me too, actually, a lot. It's actually one of the big motivators. I will never drop a name drop about this, but there's somebody out in the community been there a long time. I reached out to him when I was just starting, and I asked for I didn't know anything, so I was super new, super green, and this is at least probably 10 years ago. And I hit him up, sent him a message, and I said, "Yo, just trying to look for good information from guys that know what they're doing." And he's like, "I don't know what I'm doing. Don't ask me shit." And I was like, wow. It was so like, go away. It was such a brick wall. I think that just like set something off for me. It was like, dude, fuck that. Like mushrooms, the entire culture around mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms is like this, like free and love and like, oh, we're supposed to be like more accepting because
Yeah, no
that's what feels
ego.
right. Like, and everyone talks about ego dissolution and then they become more egotistical. And it's like, it's just bringing it back down to basic, and like teaching and being nice to each other. I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. It doesn't mean you owe anybody your time. That guy, for all I know, that dude was super fucking busy, but it put me on a mission. I was like, I'm never asking anybody for help ever again. I was so pissed. I
That
was like,
sucks, dude.
yeah, I was like, never asking anybody ever again for anything, and truth be told, I'd say years ago I was a little hot headed, so I was like, oh, that's it. Never talking to anybody. And I was like,
I'm
fuck
angry.
this.
No more.
I was like, I'm gonna buy a bunch of Paul Stamets books and I'll show that motherfucker,
I mean,
it's,
look at you now.
yeah, it's funny now. We're actually I'm writing a book. So and I'm almost done.
That's
So
cool.
like super done. Normally I would never say anything about it. It's been way too long in the works. Actually I had a version of the book. I was like 2 or 3 sections through, about 70 pages, and this is kind of funny inside little story, personal story. No one knows about this. Nobody. But this started in 2016, which is probably for the best. I'll be honest, it's probably for the best. But yeah, 2017. I was still drinking alcohol. I don't really drink. Um, I have a couple drinks a year at this point, but I took like 3, 4 years away from alcohol, 100%, nothing, not a drop. But back then, I was a daily drinker, and I had my Apple computer, and I was getting toasted, drinking some whiskey, and I got drunk, and I was writing this book, and I just turned knocked my glass and it fried my computer and never was able to retrieve it. But, fast forward to where I'm at now and the way life is now, like I have a better base of knowledge, a better understanding of what I'm doing. I think a better skill set to teach people. So it was more of like a lesson learned. And it just, I felt like back then too, it was like that was part of my journey, right? It was like
Yeah,
to stop drinking. It was
that
obviously,
was the beginning.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like the beginning of the end too, because I sobered, I went cold stone sober. I wasn't an alcoholic. If I was super high functioning. I never had any like physical ailments related to it. But I was a chef. So like, drinking, I was like a fish for probably a decade
Comes,
of my life.
you know.
Yeah, kind of comes with the territory. But yeah, I'm excited about the book. It's going to be a kind of no holds bar, straightforward cultivation isolation guide that's all focused on Psilocybe cubensis. So it is like hyper laser beamed in. It's got everything, all the information I'm always asked for. Hybridization, isolation, spore work.
Well, I'm
All
ready to pre-order whenever.
Yeah, buddy. I'm excited. I can't wait for it to get through final stages and hopefully this year. Be great.
Jeez, dude, I'm proud of you, man. You're freaking killing it in life, dude.
Yeah, it's I felt like that was a big contribution I've wanted to do. It's I like doing that. I honestly I think it's the biggest reason why I've never done like a YouTube or a Patreon channel is I know it takes a huge investment of time. Um I know that this kind of stuff, even like your podcast, there's a lot of time and effort that go into these things. And no stranger to time and effort. And it's just one of those things that I felt I would be doing myself and everybody else that's in this space and cares about mushrooms a massive disservice if I just made episodes. It's like I think something tangible like a book and have
Yeah,
it, it's like etched in stone then, right? It's like forever.
100%.
Yeah. It feels like the right thing. If I was ever going to do like a YouTube or a Patreon educational video series, it would definitely be after the book is out,
Well, even
that
like the little the short video you posted recently, that's just like, well, I think it was you pouring agar or making agar dishes
oh yeah, like the potato dextrose
with
agar.
potato dextrose. That was cool. Little like I feel like even through that you could learn a lot.
Yeah, they don't need to be long, lengthy videos. Just quick, short little bits of information. I think that's always good, anyways. But
And
yeah,
the
it's
whole
fun.
content thing, man, it's kind of a pain. Like I wish, I wish I would have gotten into content like earlier in the game, right? Some of these, like look at like Philly Golden Teacher,
Oh,
you,
he's a beast. He's a beast.
and it's just like the amount of knowledge on that man's page that's just already there, and is just continuously adding more and more to it. It's like it's almost like it's the same thing as far as like starting a business, right? It's like when you have PGT out there who's done every video that you could even think about posting on yours. It's like it's kind of like almost like it's like wow, it's disheartening,
Well, it's the same thing with like Willie Myco. Like Willie's been around for probably over a decade, maybe 12 years, 15 years. I don't know. He was in the scene before me.
Yeah,
And
he's like the OG.
yeah, especially for video content, man. I remember when they were posting videos of them in like some little apartment, in a closet.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, for sure. Back in the day, he was wearing his hoodie and his big crazy mask.
Hmm.
But, like those videos, his information. That's the whole thing, right? It's like as you upgrade, as you level up. Look at I've seen videos that he's made in the last like 2 years that are essentially the same video he made 5, 6 years ago, but it's got a nicer flow hood in the background, or it's more
Yeah,
professional. It's a
like
little
his like Steambox thing, from a
exactly
long time ago. Then I feel like he's probably made an upgraded one now. It's just like anybody else. It's like we're all learning how to do,
right.
make it more efficient. So
And it's the same thing and plus everyone has their own approach. There's little tiny intricacies and details that are talked about differently. I think that's why there's so many people doing the educational videos. There's a lot of information to be shared, and there's someone out there who wants to learn from someone specific. And
exactly.
I don't really think it'll ever really get old. Like I've watched a ton of stuff when there was probably more time. These days, I'm kind of out of the loop.
I feel
Like,
that.
yeah, it's just a lot of time. Like I've been putting on yours and Van's podcast while I work. Sometimes I'll just carry my phone around with me and just listen to it. I had to listen to Meddling Mushroom. Jonathan's an awesome guy, and
Yeah, he is.
I've listened to most of them now, but it's like, you know, I want to keep up with everything, and it's hard. It's hard to keep up with everyone's content they're doing, what they're creating, because you want to be there to support. I want everyone to have support. I want to know what everyone's up to, just to, you know,
Like, we want to see everybody succeed, and I feel
yeah,
the same way, man.
absolutely.
If I spent all the time keeping up with everybody and everything they're doing, I wouldn't have enough time for myself. And
No,
it's like with
no
the
way.
amount of time that I actually already spend doing that, I already feel like I don't have enough time for myself.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
I'd be lying to say that I keep up with every episode of Van's podcast, or if I know exactly how, like, what you're posting, when you're posting it. If I'm like pushing through the stories because I have like 5 minutes here and there, you give a little like, or I'll give a little reply, but it's like, it's
But again,
impossible.
yeah, but these are again good reasons why information from anyone is always good, right? Like
And
because
also,
yeah,
the information, right? Just because the tech is updated doesn't mean that's not a feasible tech. So, for instance, if you get like somebody posts a video of like bucket tech, steam box, steam generator. Um, just because there's a steam generator option doesn't mean that you as a person will fail with bucket tech or the steam box. And if
Right.
that's
Right.
easier for you to do because you can't afford a steam generator or can't, have that in your house, then that's an efficient way for you to do at home mycology.
Yeah, and another thing I think is really important to remind, probably not the avid hobbyist, but like the myco content creators, is not everyone's a business, and not everyone wants to be a business. There's guys out there that are happy running two tubs. You know, so like no one needs a $2,000 fucking steam generator in their garage for substrate they make once a year.
Yeah.
Like it's silly. Like it's a lot of money, it's a lot of expense, but who are you targeting? You're targeting other businesses, because I don't know any hobbyist, unless you got a ton of money to spend and you're just really into mycology. I don't really know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get a steam generator, water lines ran. I'm going to get some sort of professional insulated container where I
The,
can store all of this and steam it.
the people who have those things set up and they're actually doing grows are, if not, 1% of the United States. If
Less, for sure.
like
Yeah.
like
One
these are the people that
less
we
than one
all like.
of the cultivators.
Yeah.
Like less than that. So like I think there's a huge need, and I don't think there's ever going to be a lack of need for easy, approachable beginner techs that work. What's your goal? Mushrooms? Well, this tech will lead to mushrooms. You know, I think there's just never going to be an end goal or a lack of need for that kind of information. Basic, easy to follow, basic approach. I know some of my stuff, I try to find ways to, just through communication, to bridge gaps for the more of the, I should say, intense, like scientific terms, with mycology that come along.
Like all the clamps and stuff like that.
Yeah, clamp connection. You start talking about like monokaryons and dikaryons and daimons, and start getting into all the nomenclature and all these terms. It's there. It's a good opportunity to teach someone what the meaning of the word is, knowing that there's a high likeliness that that person was never going to use that term ever in their life. It's okay. Just tell them what it means. It's like, it's kind of like you mentioned, people using Latin terms, right? Correct, appropriate Latin terminology or Latin names given to organisms. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong to learn about these names, titles, but it's also something that I totally would say shout out to Alan Rockefeller for being a fucking encyclopedia,
Oh yeah.
remembering and properly pronunciating so many of these names for mushrooms. It's impressive.
It's
It,
crazy. He'll
it
be
is.
like walking around, he'll be like, that's I don't even know how to fake a name. Like, you know what I mean? Amanita muscaria.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sure. I mean, it's Flemulina veludipes. It's like busting that out in front of some people. Yeah, I know my shit. It's yeah, yeah, exactly. It's impressive to know, but the terms are important. I actually think what I find more fascinating is the root origins of the words. Like, where does the word cubensis originate?
Hmm. I
Forget
never
the
thought about
mushroom.
that.
Forget the mushroom. Where did the word cubensis come from? How about psilocybe or psilocybe, or however you'd like to pronounce it? Uh,
Yeah.
but like, I think that stuff's fascinating. So that's like, I have a lot of friends and people have commented and asked me, like, well, I don't see you grow a lot of gourmet. Well, I have. I've grown plenty of them. It's not something I'm not really dedicated to. Cubes, it's been definitely my focus, and that's my focus right now. It doesn't mean that won't change. It's just, I've grown pans, paniolus, and stuff like that too, but it's not been something that's like called to me. Cubes are fun, they're easy, they are. But I've been enjoying doing what I've done, and um but I want to know everything. Like I want to know everything to the point where I want to feel like I have no more reason to continue, right? Like where do I bring this
I'm
to?
gonna reach Valhalla.
Yeah, for sure. And then I want to take it and then I want to transfer over into another species, right? Or some sort of subset species. So that way I can take everything I've learned from over here and see how much of that applies to this other organism, right? Or
Well, it's
like
like
CDs or something like that.
imagine getting into mycology and starting with cordyceps. I feel
Yeah.
like you'd probably be able to do anything else.
Well, yeah, and I think that's yeah, but that's a huge lesson I think mycology teaches people. If you can follow the process from spore and you can raise this thing to being alive, healthy, dude, you can do a lot. It's think of all the little texts and things you surprise yourself with, right?
Dude,
You've learned the process, you were dedicated, you followed through, you succeeded. How many other things in your life can you apply that to?
so
Every,
everything.
everything.
Like, I
Everything.
don't know a thing that I wouldn't be able to apply it to.
Right. So
Um,
I think that's the real lesson cultivation teaches people, I think. You know? So you could do it. You just fucking do it.
you can do it. Just do it. You'll fail, but continue trying, and you
Yes,
will, freaking continue succeeding.
exactly.
And I guess on that note, um, you guys can find Basidium Equilibrium at bassmycology.com, right?
Bassmycology.com and
Bassmycology.com.
Librium.
Basidium Equilibrium is the Instagram handle.
Yep.
I'm not even going to try to spell it. I'm going to go with it at BASIDIUM underscore EQUILIBRIUM
Underscore. Boom.
underscore.
Yep. That's it.
All right, I did it.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess on that note, I want to ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
One, you plan on going to any other events this year, brother?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go down and do a smaller event in Phoenix. That's in 2 weeks. It's just a Saturday at a random grow shop in Phoenix. That should be cool. But
Nice.
there is a Georgia Mushroom Fest. I know has got pushed around a little bit. That was supposed to be in May. That one is pretty cool, grassroots like little festival. Uh, Not like the Oklahoma Mushroom Fest or like Entheo Expo.
Oh, you
Definitely.
said the Florida Grove Fest?
No, it's a Georgia Mushroom Fest. It's
Okay.
really low key, kind of in this like little town in Georgia. I was gonna go down there, but it looks like they lost their permit, so they're moving some stuff around. That was supposed to be in May. I got to follow up on that one. That one's supposed to be pretty cool. But other than that, I'm just trying to take this year 1 week, 1 month at a time. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out probably to Los Angeles for Myco Alchemy is doing an event
Me
that's going to
too.
be. Yeah, you're going? Okay, so yeah,
I'm going to be speaking too.
yeah, October 19th. I'm going to go out there with those guys and hang with them. It's all for charity. I think it's a great idea. It's a good event. And then there's going to be, I believe, the Oklahoma Mushroom Fest.
I think the Oklahoma Mushroom Fest is a week before the
The L-
the homeless help the homeless.
Help the Homeless with Myco Alchemy.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So definitely planning on going out to Oklahoma again. Yeah, and just kind of open. I mean, there's a couple things going on in Denver too. I might go hit. So just looking forward to getting out there and doing some fun stuff this year. And yeah,
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
excited to, see you at some events as well. It's always fun hanging.
yeah. Oh, of course, dude. Absolutely.
And here's this is the question. This is arguably the most important. Whenever it's your birthday, right? Where are you going out for dinner and what are you eating? What's your birthday dinner?
Well, if I could hit up anywhere, I'd probably go to Rana, Japan in Chicago. You know,
Have you ever been?
do some hibachi. It's like hibachi, you know. So they have
Okay,
a big hibachi table with the flat top griddle. You just sit
nice.
around it, you know, and get some shrimp, rice, and maybe a steak of tuna or filet mignon or something. I'm a sucker for like any Asian cuisine. That's
It's
it.
so good.
Yeah, oh, so good, man. So, but yeah, I that would be it. Rana, Japan. I'm there all day.
Cool beans.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Gosh. Well, gosh, I mean, bro, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, we should do this again.
I'm totally down to get this done again. I definitely don't, I don't want this to be a one-time thing. I want people to be, come back on, get a little update on the life, see, next time we come out, maybe you got a book printed or, a copy or something. Who knows what the future
That'd be
holds?
pretty cool. Yeah, no, I'm excited for 2024. I think it's gonna be a really good year for just I don't know, feel it's got a good vibe, man. It's got a
I
good vibe.
agree, man.
I'm
It's
excited.
going it started off a little rough, I'd say, a little slow for the most part, but 2024 is looking pretty bright.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's a lot of really good things going on in the mushroom world, and I think there's I don't know, I'm just excited to get out and go to some of these events. Who knows? Maybe we'll host a cultivation class somewhere. So I've been looking into some options for that too. Just doing some like crash courses in person.
That would be cool. That's something that I'd even be interested in just coming out and,
Yeah. Yeah. Come out, hang out, be part of it. It'd be awesome. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think next time we get together, we'll definitely have some updates. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I'm excited for the updates already, bro.
Nice.
Thanks again. I will, talk to you later.
Awesome.
And, thanks for coming on the cast, brother.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate you having me on and keep killing it, man. This is
You as
great.
well, man. Talk to you later.
Peace, brother.
Peace.